What is up, everybody? Welcome. We're here in day 4 of the ASL round of 8. This has been a crazy season, and today we're going to know exactly, once we wrap today up, we're going to know what the round of 4 is going to be looking like here. Larva versus Bisu. Very interesting match here to close this round of 8 out.
Yeah. It's like kind of, well, you know what? It feels like older players, but it's not exactly. Larva just looks older than everyone. But yeah. I think it's a really interesting one because it's like, okay, here's Bisu maybe getting a round of 4. He's actually been working really hard lately. He's been playing a lot more than a lot of the other pros in the last year or so, trying to really get some great results here. I think he's one of these players like Radeon who's really looking for that return to glory, that return to being a champion. And then you have Larva, who just like the variety streamer, who's popped back in randomly here. He's doing what Rain does every 3rd season or so, where he just comes back out of nowhere. He's like, yeah, I'm still one of the best players in the world and casually top 8s. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because of that. And, you know, Larva being a very like kind of cognitive player, in my opinion, makes this a really interesting match against Bisu.
This should be a lot of fun. You know, the scary thing about Bisu is the raw strength he has in this matchup. I mean, he's historically been the best PvZer ever for so long. I mean, even to this day. And we've got a lot of new, really crazy strong, you know, Protoss players like Mini or Snow, but Bisu never really fails to make this matchup look really hard for Zerg. Now, Larva, I like the way that you described him, man. I mean, this guy's really strategic. He's really smart about how he approaches this. The question is, can you circumnavigate Bisu, who's just so good at control play?
No,
I think we're about to... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think that Bisu is a bit stronger, for sure. That's my opinion about it. I don't know exactly what shape Larva's in right at this second. He looked okay during the tournament, but Bisu looked really god tier in the last round. So that's my opinion.
이번에 게임이 잘 돼가지고 기대하셔도 좋을 것 같습니다.
맞는 거 빼주고요. 컨트롤. SGB가 뒤를 막아서 와! 야, 컨트롤 뭐예요? 스케바시 만들어 놓습니까? 터졌습니다. 박살나는데요.
풀 컨디션의 김태경의 대저그전은 이 정도 수준까지 보여줄 수 있다라는 것은 결승전 이후에 무려 1,500일여
밀고 좀 들어가고 있어요. 와, 말이 보다 많아. 자, 여기는 자원줄 속도 줄어요.
배가 사드론 예전보다 훨씬 예측 불허의 저그가 됐어요.
지지. 이야기한 대로 깔끔하게 김태경 선수 잡아내.
Hello and welcome to the 4th and final round of 8 match on this last day of September here at ASL Season 20, done in partnership with Google Play and Gravity. In yesterday's quarterfinals match number 3, Soma defeated Best with a 4-2 score and succeeded in advancing to the semi-finals after 7 long seasons. The last round of 4 spot will be filled today as we are joined by 2 players with a rich history in the ASL. Let's meet Bisu and Larva. Hello. Hello. First up, we have Bisu, who makes his return to the round of 8 after 3 seasons, with his last being Season 17. As you watch the bracket and this match against Larva be drawn, you could not stop smiling. What was the meaning behind that smile? I always had entertaining games against Larva. Whether it was online or offline, I've had so much fun beating him so many times, so I couldn't help but smile. I'm looking forward to today. I'll see it as a smile of expectations then. And now we have Larva, who is about to play in an extended series for the first time in a really long time after his championship run in Season 11. You made it into the quarterfinals upon your return after 9 seasons. Your opponent is a Protoss. It's Bisu. How do you feel about this bout? I beat Bisu in the round of 16 in that Season 11. That I ended up winning. I feel that if I beat him today, then perhaps I might have an easy path onwards toward the championship. So today I prepared as if this was the finals. As resolute as they come is Larva today. Now when it comes to Bisu, bearing in mind your round of 24 and round of 16, people are saying your performance is nearing perfection. The fans' expectations for you are steadily going up. What kind of a game do you think you'll play today? First of all, I'm not in the best of shapes. I was driving down here and my stomach hurt so bad I thought I was going to drop dead. But I just went to the bathroom and feel refreshed. Bisu, that's too much information. Right, anyway, I have a good feeling. You know, I'm also surprised by how well the games keep going for me. I swapped my peripherals, my settings, I've got it all set up like I do at home. It feels fine. Everything just works. Please look forward to today's match. Please look forward to it, says Bisu. Now, while Larva has had to bend the knee to Bisu, suffering numerous defeats on the ASL stage in the past and the present feel nothing alike. What do you think this match against Bisu will be like today? However you look at it, if we consider the fact we've been practicing together for donkey's years, he's helped me practice for over 10 years now. Winning is a tall order. Because we've been facing off against each other since we were young. There is that kind of muscle memory, but the last memory I have is that of me beating him and moving on to win the championship, so I'll refresh that memory, bring it up and keep it in my mind as I play today's match. Larva says he wants to relive that memory of his most recent victory. If we were to ask our players for what they consider to be the battlefield that decides it all, which set are we talking about here? Honestly, I lost a lot in practice, but if I manage to take Roaring Currents, I will win 4-0. Bisu says if he takes Roaring Currents, he thinks he will win 4-0. And Larva? Same for me. I prepared quite a lot for Roaring Currents. That will be a good one to watch. I think we can all look forward to the game on Roaring Currents. So what score do you predict overall? He said I lost the last time we played. Well, with Larva, it's 1 loss every 10 games. I lost the last one, so it's my turn to win 9 times again. Oh, Larva, what do you say? You know how I totally wrecked Mini in practice? That's what today is going to look like. Please look forward to it. Spicy provocations going back and forth. Let's close things out with our players' final remarks ahead of the match. Most of all, I think this will be entertaining. I got excited as I was preparing for this. This is my first time playing a best of 7 against Larva, also the first time I'm playing a best of 7 in 3.5 years. I will win today and have a good performance in an extended series. For me, I made a lot of friends when training martial arts, and many of them came down here today. And these guys have the spirit of a warrior. I will take that mindset today and try to win the match. An interesting match, certainly worth looking forward to, and even more so having heard this interview. That does it for our interview with Bisu and Larva ahead of the match. Thank you for the interview. Thank you. ASL Season 20, done in partnership with Google Play and Gravity. Who will rise to claim the last spot in the round of 4? Let's start the match and find out.
Okay, we're ready to get into this one, everybody. The final best of 7 here for the round of 8. Bisu versus Larva. Honestly, I'm happy with either moving on. I think it makes for a very interesting round of 4. I'm in agreement with you, Tastosis. I think Bisu is slightly favored here. And I only say that because I think Larva's going to have a hard time strategically tripping him up. I can't imagine Bisu really losing to build order losses. He's too engaged with the Zerg when he plays. Like, he'll probably still be going Mass Zealot, Mass Corsair like he often does. Bisu's not a guy that really needs to be tricky in PvZ. He's kind of able to just leverage his mechanics and his understanding of when the Zerg is weak and where that's going to be on the map. So I'm leaning Bisu here. How about you?
Well, it's a good way to put it. But I do think back to some games we've seen from Larva, even in this tournament. Like, I thought that as far as Roaring Currents goes, he had the best approach for Zerg versus Terran. He actually changed my mind in one game from it being a Terran-favored map to being maybe a Zerg-favored map. So, you know, I have a lot of respect for the way he thinks about the game. I think he's gets a pretty clear plan on what he wants to do and goes for it. So, yeah, I still do think it's Bisu, though. I like how you say that he's really engaged with the Zerg. That's definitely the case. I don't think we're going to see any games that looked like yesterday's games with Soma versus Best, where it's like, well, there's just no wall or something like that, right? Like, I think Bisu won't push the map imbalances too far. I think he'll kind of keep a centered approach and just allow his fundamental skills to speak for him here. You know, that's how he's won so many championships in the past.
Larva, you know, he's come back here looking like the same, you know, ASL champion we had in the past. We did talk a little bit about how in some games it didn't seem like he had quite modernized. He didn't really seem to be playing to the meta. Granted, you know, ASL's been going on for quite a few weeks now, so I think he might be all caught up, but I'm curious how this is going to work, because he is a guy who takes time off, right? Just like Rain. He's someone who is really, frankly, just a very talented human. This guy's got an insanely big YouTube channel where he's doing a lot of stuff that is completely unrelated to StarCraft at all. You know, I mean, he's been doing a lot of stuff in the fitness area, MMA. So coming back to this, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what he's going to try to bring here. And that being said, you know, Larva does seem to be a player that might not even need to rely on, you know, the currents of the meta. He is really a gifted guy at just how he understands StarCraft. So we could see some pretty novel ideas at play here.
Well, that's a beautiful thing about StarCraft 2. When you come back, it's still exactly the same game. You just have to look at the maps and, you know, get a feel for what the metagame is, which, of course, he's had plenty of time to do. So it's not like Larva doesn't touch StarCraft at all in between these ASLs. You know, he still plays. It's just he doesn't play as regularly or as much as these other pros. So,
by the way, we should point out our maps are very special for this season. So, you know, I think if Larva's going to succeed here, it's going to be probably played off the maps themselves, and maybe ideas, whether it's, you know, the ebb and flow of expanding or our map that's got islands. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, novel things that are on these maps. Our maps mostly still stay in the realm of kind of normal. Like, I think ASL, rightfully so, is backed off of truly insane maps, but we still have maps that have a lot of unique concepts that really change the way even the most standard games would develop.
Yeah. So getting into this match, Tasteless, you know, it's been a while for Larva. It's been like 5 years or so since he won his last championship. I can't remember the last ASL that we saw him play in, but he mostly hung it up after that championship. I'm sure he must have played one or two since then, but yeah, has been pretty off, and here he is with the chance to prove himself. I believe we're going into Roaring Currents as the first map here as well, which is kind of interesting.
I think anybody who wins an ASL is justified in at least taking some time off, if not retiring. I mean, you did get to the top of the mountain, right? But right now, Larva's back, and, you know, he's just a couple best of sevens from going to the finals and maybe even winning another ASL, which would be insane, right? We haven't talked about Larva nearly as much as these other players.
Yeah.
But here he is, and I think this is doable for him. You know, I would say this is like a 55-45 matchup, maybe slightly Bisu favored. Anyways, we're ready to get into this. Guys, game one is here. Bisu versus Larva, starting now. Okay, Bisu in the top right, Larva here in the bottom left.
I'm excited.
And, yeah.
Like,
yeah, this is, go ahead, please.
Well, we've had a lot of disappointing games pop up on Roaring Currents, but Bisu picked this map first, so I don't think he'll just let Zerglings by to kill him. like we saw from Best. And Larva's already shown great ideas here. So every time I see this map, I get excited. And most of the time, Star Gamer, most of the time I've been disappointed. So I'm just letting you know, Tastosis, that once again, I'm excited. And I hope that the game delivers.
So, well, I mean, it better deliver. We've had too many games where we talk about all these ideas that could happen on this map, and then somebody just dies to a rush, and we go, oh, okay, well. I hope this is going to be here next season. I think this is actually a pretty good map that's got a lot of... I think this opens up a lot of doors for islands to play a bigger role in competitive StarCraft, while at least keeping the opening architecture somewhat... resembling a normal macro game. And also you make it so that I think maybe one of the most important things on this map, by the way, is the fact that your natural expansion is on the high ground and goes to low ground.
Yeah.
Because it de-incentivizes all-ins.
Yes.
I think if we didn't have that, I think if this was a low ground into low ground second base, the incentive would be too high to just rush and kill them.
Yeah.
So in so many ways, I think this is just a beautiful map that I think is going to make for games that we would otherwise never see, which I welcome.
It's genius in that way, and you're really, really right. If it was low ground, you'd be very de-incentivized from taking islands quickly, but because it's high ground, you can just kind of almost treat your main and natural like an island, because it's so hard to attack uphill. Like, you have to be on top of things to attack up. It's such a difference in StarCraft to attack up a hill compared to on level ground. It's almost always the wrong choice.
So Larva went for hatchery first, but the hatchery was forced to be made at the third base location. And Bisu didn't pursue it. Instead, he just stayed inside. By the way, this has been a growing trend, is to not ever chase that down, but instead to just check and look at the pool. And so Bisu can go for Nexus into Gateway, I think into Forge, but we'll see how greedy he actually wants to be. He does go for the Pylon block, and the only alternative place to make an expansion is pretty far away. So Bisu is cutting as many corners as you could imagine. His wall-in does look a little bit weird, but this might be because he's trying to do the hyper-modern wall-in, where you just have the Forge pulled back, so it doesn't look as neat and clean. The feng shui in the base is not as good, but you still have room to surround the Forge with cannons and keep it close, keep yourself sealed up while not losing +1.
Well, I think he's trying to keep a wide enough hole at the top that he doesn't have to kill any parts of his wall as well when he gets into Dragoons and everything. So kind of makes sense where we see that, but it is a very funky looking wall. You never really see the pylon up front and then the Forge kind of behind it on the side, but that definitely protects the Forge. That Forge is pretty much as safe as where Best put his Forge when the Zerglings ran by.
Yeah. Now, the cannon's actually not going to finish. When I was watching this, and this map is weird because the rush distances are very long, I was worried for a little bit that maybe Bisu's cannon wouldn't finish in time. And, this may look like not a lot, but this can really start to add up. I think Bisu still has some of the best probe control in these moments. If you ever get to watch him in first person, it's crazy how good he is at flicking his probes onto the lings and then going back into mining. He may still be the best at that in the whole world. Like, it's crazy. But he did kill off one of those lings. So, what could have been something that would have slowly put a little bit of drag into his build seems to be stopped. Because one ling you can kind of not respect.
Isn't that a funny thing about StarCraft, that, like, just the control of workers, like, there's tiers in it of how good players are on it? That's really interesting that you say that Bisu's probably the best at that, because that rings true. Because I can't really notice that well, not being a Protoss player, but, like, for instance, Flash has by far the best SCV micro out of all the Terran players. By far, it's not even close, which allows these guys to, like, get away and or recover from more things than other players.
Bisu's Zealot is going to come out. He's going to go for a dive onto the drones. It always amazes me how many drones he'll get. Like, there's an art to the selection process. He almost gets a second one. He's going to send the probe out here to kill this one over here, I think. No, he sends it back. By the way, double Stargate.
Yeah.
Now, that shouldn't really surprise anybody because the islands are going to be very, very tempting here. and it will come down a lot of times to who can control the air. Now, you know, we do see a lot of games where double Stargate Corsair becomes maybe one of the most disappointing builds if you get overwhelmed with Hydralisks. You know, it's a build that I think you look like a genius when it works, and you look like an idiot when it fails. Oh my God, that's a huge scout.
Yeah.
I can't believe he got to see that. So he knows it's double Stargate.
Well, kind of a funny place to put it, but yeah, Bisu already has like probably the best overall Corsair control. I haven't seen his flick micro as much as I've seen minis, which is very, very good. But like he retains Corsairs better than any other Protoss for sure. So the fact that he's going 2 Stargate Corsair, he is going to be out here putting on lots of pressure against Larva with them. I really love to see this from him.
Yeah, I think his flick micro is probably fine, but you know, Bisu, I remember just one of the most memorable moments ever for me. Is this going to get away? He's going to try to juke it. This is the problem, is when you start to get... He should be able to get that home, but if you send more Scourge up here, no, he loses it. I remember being up in my mom's attic with my brother, watching Bisu versus Savior, and watching what Bisu was able to do with the Corsairs, and my mind was blown.
Yeah.
You know, and I never thought, oh, you just pair the Corsairs with the ground units because that way you kill all of their farms, and you know, you can lock them out of the game. It was just a totally different way of seeing the game, and you know, he's basically been playing like that. He was the best at that when it came out. He's been the best at that basically to now. I mean, obviously, Mini and Snow and Best are good at it, but I still think Bisu might look better than them when he does it.
Yeah. He moves the Corsairs better, and he just keeps them alive. Like, he's not a player that you see a lot of mid-game Mutalisk switches against, because a lot of players will just lose Corsairs over the course of the game. He like, look, he turns them around so fast. He just has such great attention on his Corsairs. They're never flying over a group of Hydras or just randomly getting picked off from Scourge in the mid-game. Now, he's going into Corsair Reaver, which is always exciting as well. It's something that we've seen more often. Shuttle bringing a probe to that expansion, and look at him add some cannons there as well. I love to see it, because it's like, man, just stay alive. This is a good opener so far, I'd say. You know, he's getting into all the things that you want to see on this map.
I like the point you made about nobody switches to Mutas relievers Bisu. You're basically locked out of air tech if Bisu's going to commit to Corsairs. And he knows, like, right now he knows, okay, I can comb through the main and confirm what tech is here. The robo tech into the shuttle, into the expand, is to be expected. This is pretty much how you'd want to play. We did have some people play like this off of 1 Stargate, like back in the Lost Temple days, to do a real throwback. Was island expands, because Lost Temple had 2 islands on it, and there was a period where like a lot of competitive StarCraft was on Lost Temple, but there were a lot of builds where instead of your third base being somewhere outside on the map, out like you know on the connected land, you would try to send a shuttle over and expand to the island and take that. And I definitely get a little bit of those vibes here, which feels kind of crazy in a 2025 StarCraft 1 game. But yeah, I mean, how is Zerg going to stop that, right? You've got shuttles over here, and is there a Reaver in here? I didn't actually check for Reaver tech, but that
he
would
does have
make
Reaver
sense.
tech. Yeah.
Okay, look at this.
Ooh! Good for Scarab there as well, and he pulls back immediately as to not get caught. Good control here from Bisu. I love that he's already got cannons going up at his third base on that island. Kind of a weird cannon placement there. It looks like he actually might have misplaced one of them, but we'll see about that.
The age difference between these two is pretty big, right? Like Larva's, I believe he's a bit younger than Bisu. The reason why I'm bringing it up, even if, is that, you know, Bisu played a lot of games that looked like this back in the day. Zergs, especially the really modern ones, the younger ones we have, they never really got to be in these kind of situations where you had a land map and now you have islands. You know what I'm saying? Where you like have to try to retake an island. Go ahead, please.
If I'm remembering correctly, Larva was on SKT1, wasn't he?
Oh, was he?
I think
okay,
he was,
maybe in my head
he was like a really
much younger than I remember.
I believe he was a really low-level player back then, but I'm pretty sure he was.
The point I'm trying to make is, like, if you're older, you were playing on more weird maps like this than if you were younger,
for sure,
right? Even an age difference of like 3, right? You were probably in a very different world of StarCraft, than some of these guys. Anyways, the only point I'm trying to make is like there are definitely a lot of older ideas we see happening on this game. What makes it a little bit crazier is that there are also 2 more islands down here that Bisu could also take. Now, we know Bisu eventually wants to push, and so far Larva is basically not attacking islands. He's also not expanding to islands. But, you know, eventually Larva's going to have to grow onto the islands, or he's going to have to try to take the other 2 land bases that would be Bisu's on this map, because he's just not going to be viable.
This is very cool. I'm so glad that we finally have a game here that is progressing like this. Now,
Same.
It looks like a Reaver drop coming into this natural. And those Corsairs, there's double Spore there, which I think was a good idea. But I was going to say, he might be able to jump on that.
What am I looking at? Did he forget Storm?
Maybe he was a little late on it. Oh, they ran away, but when they came back, he got it. By the way, he went for +1 armor first Tasteless. He doesn't even care about Zerglings being hit 2-shotted by Zealots. I love it because it makes sense. Yeah, with Reaver, it makes perfect sense because Reavers don't benefit from plus attack upgrades.
No, you know, it's one of those moments you see it and you go, oh, of course. But honestly, I wouldn't have thought to do that if I was playing. Yeah, you don't need +1 attack right away. I love the DT hidden over here. And unfortunately, it doesn't really get much done. By the way, we've talked about this before, but this might be, you know, a game where it's going to be the biggest factor of all. There is only one sort of large land bridge that connects the 2 big land masses together. You know, you got the Protoss' landmass and the Zerg's landmass. I mean, it feels like neither side would be able to cross that. I mean, if you had Templars or Reavers and a bunch of Protoss stuff there to accompany that, how is Zerg going to get over there? Same thing with Lurkers, Hydras, Scourge, everything else. So we could end up with one of these games where it really, truly does come down to fights over the islands.
Yeah.
And I think Protoss is maybe a little bit better equipped there, although there is a world where I think Zerg can try to get pretty technical with Greater Spire stuff.
Yeah.
It's always been a tech that's been there, but we kind of don't see it really because we don't have maps like this. And this is why, for me, this has been my favorite map, or, you know, the map I've been the most excited about, I should say. We've had some bad games on here, honestly, but I've been the most excited about casting games on here because of this, because of the potential for games that appear to be going in the direction that this one is going into.
Yeah, if they both kind of stabilize their sides of the map, I think it's very, very likely that we could see some crazy tech in here. Like, when I think about it, like, let's say that they were fighting over islands. Devourers would probably become an important unit. And actually, the other thing that comes to mind for me, obviously Plague is something that you're going to want to try to utilize. Sure. But the other thing that really comes to mind is Ensnare. Like, Ensnare can be incredibly good against things like clumped up Corsairs.
Okay, now, Bisu's going to push. I don't think he can get up there.
No.
There is a world where you can try to do this.
There you go.
Oh.
There you go. It's
wow.
I love it. I love to see this. And look at this. He's going to be able to get so many of the observers. But yeah, Ensnare is legitimately, if you have the money for it, it is such a good spell. Really underutilized. Dude, that was so good to get the observers like that. That's some big brain stuff. When is the last time you saw someone ensnare a bunch of observers and then chase them down with Scourge? The Dragoons just have no chance at blocking that.
You know what's funny about it? It kind of makes sense because if you can ensnare a shuttle and just hunt it down and kill it, suddenly, you know, Reaver tech doesn't feel so strong, especially on an island map, right? A lot of times on island maps, you're over areas you can't unload on, but you can at least escape from Hydralisks on. I don't know that Protoss can push through here. I mean, this looks... I mean, look at that. And this looks like one of those, you know, money maps where they've just, you know, filled it up with an absurd amount of defenses. I mean, Protoss, other than Reavers, you'd have to try to attack through that, and there's no way this will work.
Well, he's going to try to break it, and I think he figures out pretty quickly that that's not going to work. I tell you what, the Queen is just really getting me excited here. I would love to see a little bit more of that out of Larva. I love that he mixed this in. The ensnares are going to be so useful and everything, too. Bisu trying to push through, like, I understand to a certain degree. Like, he's coming up here, and the thing is, the Sunkens are scary, but, like, the Zealots mean nothing to Bisu at the moment. So, like, he can sacrifice some of those and try to storm down some of the Lurkers to kind of keep Larva in check.
I think he needs to free up some supply. By the way, I think that right now, like we've seen this in other games, when the Zerg is so turtled up you can't get in there, I think you go play single player.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little bit surprised. I don't know if Bisu's playing this right. I think he's navigating this game into a really dangerous place. Like, you're not going to break this. We have Dragoons bouncing off of the Reaver. Things are getting in the way. He's going to plummet to 151 supply. I think he should take all the bases on his side of the map and start to take the islands and fill them up with cannons. And I think we go into a very aerial game.
I agree.
Maybe one of the reasons why I think we're seeing this is because I'm not sure if Bisu knows what to do here. But let's talk for a second about what. Okay, oh my God, he gets the ensnare.
Dude. Yeah.
This is so good. By the way, I kind of forget that ensnare could even be used on Corsairs. I don't know why that is, but this is such a aha, obviously, you know, that's what you want to do moment. So let's talk about Zerg tech. Ensnare is scary. Parasite's actually good if you can get that on something really important. Like a shuttle. You know, let's say that you can't quite get it with ensnare, but you can at least tag it, because they don't have any kind of way to negate that spell. You have to get rid of the unit. We also could have Guardians, Devours. Zerg's going to take the islands, by the way. This is where it's really going to heat up. For Protoss, we've got, you know, you do have Scouts, which aren't really good, but they can fight Devours, so they actually may be used there. I'm just going to put that out there, because this is probably going to be one of these games that we may never see again. It could be absolutely exceptional. We also, in Tastosis, you're going to get a little bit boned up when I tell you this, but maybe if all the islands are taken, maybe we do see carriers. Maybe we finally have the moment where... finally. I don't know for sure, but I just want us to keep an open mind here. If we get into a game where it's all about air tech, and it's no longer about just, you know, Dragoons or Hydras and Dark Swarm or Storm, then maybe that air tech does play a big role here.
Dude, he is utilizing ensnare so well here. He just killed all the observers again. He got the Reavers there. You can see it takes a lot longer to pound those down. But yeah, Larva's taking 3 islands right now. This is so exciting. We need to see Bisu remake his Corsairs. Also, Larva got +2 air armor, which this is a lot easier for Zerg to continue that tech. You have to get Fleet Beacon, which is an unbelievably expensive building for Protoss to get +2 Corsair attack. So I just want to point that out there, because it's not something we ever really talk about. The only time you ever see +2 air attack is Protoss versus Terran when you're going carriers, so you want the Fleet Beacon anyways. But yeah, that's something to consider. And also, you were talking about the different spells and things we could see. Honestly, if you have those Corsairs, you're trying to break an island, D-Web is one of the best possible things to break an island base. It's insanely good.
That's a very good point. Disruption Web is a great ability to go for. So right now, I think Larva's in a very winning position. I think Bisu basically misplayed his hand. He tried to force with a push, where I think what he should have done is controlled his side of the bridge and then mass expanded with cannons and Templars and Reavers to the islands, and basically gone for a very, very defensive game. Basically go for exhaust play and let the Zerg dry up on their side of the map. You know, Maelstrom is another really important ability.
Yeah.
We don't really think of it very often, but when you have air versus air like this, the ability to freeze literally all the Zerg air units is huge.
Huge. Even feedback here against the Queens could be really, really useful. Feedback is super cheap.
Yeah.
It's really great range. One thing that wouldn't be useful, sorry, is mind control. It just it just doesn't do anything against Zerg, really. Wow, that's funny. But yeah, like I would like to see that Fleet Beacon come up, because it does feel like Larva is kind of taking control. He's got such great armor upgrades. He's starting to turtle these positions up, and you know, a Disruption Web, you throw that down on some of this static D or even over a group of Hydras, and it's going to allow you to get onto these islands. And yeah, he's made a lot of Corsairs again. He's got a lot of shuttles. And I got to
move in.
Oh man, this is such a crazy game. He is going to be able to do a big unload here with those Archons as well. But the Nidus was up, brings in these Hydras, but Bisu doesn't care. Storms his own army to get rid of them. And that is not something he's going to be able to clear. That was very well done for Bisu.
You know, I never appreciated how little creep you can actually have there, because there's so much gravel on the ground. And, you know, Larva was up to 3 islands. He's down to 1. And so we're starting to see these little fights over these island areas. The Corsairs are actually getting pretty good exchanges on the Scourge. He's going to pick up. He might go for this final island. And
he needs to remake his Corsairs. This is actually getting super dangerous for him to try to get in here. I don't know about this one, Tasteless. This looks bad to me.
yeah,
Maybe
this
a good
doesn't
storm?
look nice. Oh my God.
Storm on islands is so insane, but he still gets wiped out there. Very, very efficient hold from Larva. Oh my God.
I never knew that you could just storm the Nidus and that would kill literally all the Hydras around it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But now I do. I guess you look at it and you go, oh yeah, okay, that actually works out perfectly. Bisu hasn't claimed the top left island. By the way, the third base is mined out. The fourth base should be mined out for Larva. Remember that the land bridge bases don't have a lot of resources.
Yes, those will mine out pretty quickly.
So,
Bisu was like barely mining his for a while there, but finally sent some more probes. I want to point out one more thing because we saw it a few times and we didn't actually say anything. But like when he was just sitting there and the army's approaching his base, and Larva was just like ensnaring the army into an arc of sunken lurker. That looks, it's almost like Darkstorm against Terran, where you're like, well, I can't attack there. You know what I mean? It's like walking with ensnared units into that meat grinder. Even at full speed, that's hard to do. But when everything's slowed down, like your attack and the movement speed, it's like, well, no, this looks like an invincible spot. I've never seen that defensively used like that, but that was brilliant.
By the way, guys, things are really heating up because resources are drying up everywhere. Bisu's island base is almost empty. That's not going to be around for much longer. Larva's bases are all mining out pretty fast, and as are Bisu's on the land. So, like, this game could grind to a halt. It's one of these games where if you looked at it, at a glance, you might be like, oh, this is a crazy macro game. But actually, people need to start to secure new bases immediately, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Tell you what, this is already my favorite game of the season, and it's not even over yet.
Same.
Like, this is what I was hoping for every time we've gone into this map. I absolutely love it. The only thing that I'm really sad about, I would love to see a fleet beacon. I really would. I feel like that additional carapace, you see how much better the Scourge are doing and everything against Bisu's Corsairs. It's like, okay, well, they have +2 plasma shield, but not having that +2 attack against the +2 carapace, it makes a huge, huge difference.
Okay, the Overlord's been wiped. This island is going to be so hard to get to. Does he have... Okay, he's going to unload. Decent targeting, actually. Okay, he gets the Templars, actually. One storm gets off, which surprisingly ends up connecting with the Mutalisks. The problem is this base is so defended. I mean, there's so many lurkers, sunks, and the Nidus makes it just so hard to ever get in here. I almost feel like this is a base you shouldn't attack. I feel like he needs to be going for the fresh bases and not trying to commit down to the bases that are already, basically secured. Like, give that up. It's much better to actually just get a base that's fresh and fill that up with defenses, because Bisu throwing all that over there, look, this is the base he wanted to take, the one that was closer to the middle here.
And I don't want to beat a dead horse either, but like the amount of times we're having these engagements, it would be worth it to continue your upgrade journey with that fleet beacon. Like, seriously, we're watching over and over.
Agree.
He's having to replace everything. These positions, he's flying over giant groups of Hydras to unload. I mean, you throw one D-Web down, and you suddenly have this area where 0 damage is coming in. 0. And it's like, wow, this would just go so much better for him.
Oh, that's so funny. I forgot you can even land stuff up here. This is actually a great spot to just keep Templars perched up here to storm. But Bisu's kind of missing the bigger picture here. He's winning a battle but losing the war ultimately. And it really shows you what happens when you get a ton of lurkers burrowed on a tiny island. It's kind of hard to get in there and do anything, right? Minerals are mining out all over the map. And it seems like the longer the game goes, the further out of range Bisu is from really using the tech that he has to pry open any of these positions. Like, he's got something kind of... Whoa, they don't even attack?
You're slowed down, man.
Frozen in fear, paralyzed.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say what Bisu's got here is a very cool little position to slow this down, but he needs to get in over here. He's going to unload. Oh, my God. But you know what? You know what's actually happening here is Larva's basically camping inside of his main with the lurkers with a series of Niduses, and he just finds which base is going to be hit and immediately pops out.
Yeah, he has 3
so
Niduses in a row.
There's no way to look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no way that Bisu can look and assess if a base is attackable or not.
And Larva is like strategically outplaying Bisu here. Like, I think we saw
100%.
that Bisu kind of had like stronger play for a little bit, but Larva has all these little things figured out about like how he's going to defend, and Bisu's just trying to brute force his way through everything. There are other options that he could have gone for so far. I know we never see D-Web, but he could have used D-Web. He could have gotten an additional +2 air attack. There's a lot of different ways he could have approached doing this, but he like headbutted the 4th base of Larva like 4 times, and now he just keeps on going in and dropping over Mass Hydra Lurker, and it's like, okay, well, you get some storms out and you can shred the Hydras because they have nowhere to micro to, but there's Lurkers underneath you. Like, your army is going to get cleaned.
Yeah, look, I think that this is almost a game. You know, when someone talks about, like, well, how do you stop 12 carriers, right? Well, hold on a second. So he's going to come in again, but this is a suicide mission. You know when someone says, well, how do you stop 12 carriers? And the answer is kind of like, well, you can't let him do that. GG. Well, someone might ask themselves, well, how do you stop Larva once he has his bases? The answer is you don't let him take those bases. I think Bisu played a very deterministic game where he was just trying to close it out with a push. I think he actually had strategically the upper hand if he just took more of the islands, filled them up with cannons, and held his side of the bridge. And instead, Larva played a patient game, held, and then mass expanded, and played a beautiful game. I love the ensnare. I didn't really see that coming until it happened, but it looked extremely strong.
And Snare was the MVP by miles. It helped so much against Corsairs, and watching him utilize it as a deterrent to attacking into his sunken areas was god tier. Like, he had this thought out so much better than Bisu. So much better. When you see these ensnares go down, it's just like, and look at this. Like, he utilized ensnare to pick off, like, he got 4 or 5 observers twice with ensnares. He just completely outthought Bisu here.
We're looking at this moment, and I think a lot of people would be looking at the fights, but I think looking at the mini-map really tells everything. You know, when that last fight was happening and the Mutas were killing the Reavers, Larva took 3 bases. I think that Bisu started to fight back pretty well, but the reality is, as scary as Archon, Zealot, Templar drops are, Mass Hydra Lurker is going to wreck that.
Yeah.
And I think especially hitting here, this didn't make sense.
Yeah.
You're never going to beat this base. You give it up. You lost that battle. You got to win the war. And, you know, I think the other 2 islands that Larva had, probably more desirable. This is a base that's further away to get to. There's more units. There's bigger defenses. There's more room for creep.
Yeah.
So there's more sunks. I mean, everything about this is a nightmare to try to get into.
And Bisu broke the other 2 islands multiple times. If he had actually just decided to take one of those, he can probably just beat Larva on a long game at that point. But he just kept attacking. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, guys. When we come back, game number 2 between Bisu and Larva.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full-range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. We're going to get ready and go into Game 2 here. I really liked that game. That was a breath of fresh air, but I got to leave it with a lot of criticism for Bisu.
Yeah.
I think he came in with, like, up to the third base. He looked good. I like the Reaver drops and the Storm drops. I think that's a given. If you're going to be taking an island, you're going to have shuttle speed. Where I think it fell apart was when he did the push.
Yeah.
I don't think the push is warranted. I think the push is the only thing Zerg wants you to do at that point in time. The Zerg wants to sit back and have a million lurkers and sunken colonies and some Scourge to boot and just kind of wait it out. And I think what needed to happen was not a push, but some kind of fortification at the bridge. And then I think Protoss needs to double down into air and robo-attack and take all the other islands. I think had he done that, we would, and just make cannons. Get cannons, get Storm, and have Corsairs. Probably go up to 3 Stargates, and like you were saying, Tastosis, probably get a fleet beacon.
Yeah.
Something we never really say in PvZ ever, unless we're trying to be hilarious. But yeah, I mean, get really strong Corsairs. And then just play the waiting game. You know, it's almost like a game of Risk at that point in time. Who has more of the board, you know, and can just kind of accumulate more. It's like Monopoly or Risk or anything else like that, right? It's just who's got the bases, now you sit it out. Because once you have a base, especially an island base on a map like that, it's almost impossible to attack into you. Same thing with trying to cross the bridge.
So I think looking at that game and kind of going over it again in my head, like, I definitely agree in that late game he really screwed it up. But I think in practice, Bisu probably was breaking everyone because he doesn't allow mutas because he keeps the Corsairs at such a high number. And then he has, like, Reavers and Psystorm and a lot of Dragoons and a lot of Zealots and does, like, an unbelievable push. I really think Ensnare was the MVP there that he had not accounted for. I think it ruined his pushes. Maybe he could have won if that didn't happen, but he needed a fallback, and he just didn't really, you know, think about any later tech than what he already had, unfortunately. So, great game there from Larva. I don't think the whole series will look like that. That's a very specific map. But we'll see, because we're going to get into map 2 here on Polestar, a very normal map.
Yeah, Polestar should be more up Bisu's lane here, but, you know, Larva looked good. He looked really patient. I think he had a lot of very cool novel ideas there on that map. Yeah, the question is going to be, can Bisu recover from that loss? That's got to be a frustrating one. I still think it's up in the air who takes this. Map 2 here with Larva versus Bisu. Definitely one where Bisu could probably leverage his more conventional play. Let's get into it.
So as we get started here on Polestar with Bisu in the bottom right and Larva in the bottom left, we need to take a moment to mention the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. Check it out. Big thanks to everyone who has supported already for years now. You know, ASL just continues to go strong. It's not going anywhere. The game isn't going anywhere. Greatest game ever, as we just saw. And with your guys' support, you know, ASL continues, and we want to thank you.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. Like Tastosis said, StarCraft and ASL are not going to go away. This is very viewed in Korea. And with your support, we can keep doing this, you know, indefinitely, basically. So cool to see all the fans here from Bisu showing up. You know, this guy was such an icon, especially for Protoss players, where he really brought out this whole new way of approaching the game. You can see fans here of Larva in the audience as well. A massive presence in StarCraft, but also just YouTube. And a super entertaining guy as well. We actually got to hang out with him in LA for the Zotac Cup. And, I mean, he was just great. He was a riot. He was one of the most charismatic pro gamers I've ever met. So it's so cool to have these two guys duking it out. Now we're in a game where Bisu has scouted Larva immediately, to his fortune. By the way, did he scout through the bottom and not to the top right? That's so crazy to me. That's not what people normally do.
With the probe? Why?
You normally scout so like in this case, if let's say that Zerg spawned at the top right,
Yeah.
they would send their Overlord down usually
Yeah.
because they want to see your fast expand.
Yeah.
But so what Protoss wants to do is they want to expand, or they want to scout towards that direction so you find each other at the same time.
Yeah.
But in this game, they both kind of did something funky. The Overlords went to the top left first, and Bisu scouted to the bottom left, which makes me think that maybe Bisu already knew Larva's scouting pattern on this map. By the way, because he sees that's hatch first right away, it's going to be Pylon Nexus, Pylon Gate.
Crazy.
There's going to be so many probes here. I didn't know you could even get a second pylon that fast. I thought you had to get a forge or a gateway earlier. That's wild.
Yeah.
He's still blocking. He could still actually throw a pylon down here. Oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, Bisu with a very, very greedy and strong opener. I guess it's not that greedy because he sees what Larva's doing. Actually, to your point about the scouting, Terran vs. Zerg is similar as well, where you generally will scout towards where the Overlord should be coming from, but you have to mix it up sometimes. That's like a big rule with Terran, because if you don't ever mix it up, it's really easy to deceive your opponent.
No, I need to correct myself in front of everybody. I'm a dumbass.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought the expansions on the right side were mirrored. Like the bases, the starting locations on the right and the starting locations on the left are mirrored. This is rotationally symmetric. So what's happening there is that... No, actually, that doesn't make sense still, because, yeah, he would want to send that down there. Okay, never mind. I'm all over the place. I'm like, guys, I'm going to let our toes take this one. I'll be back later. I'm still surprised by Bisu's scouting pattern for a second. Because the way that Larva's scouting, he would be checking the starting location of the top left.
Yeah.
See?
It could just be his randomization, though, right? Because like if you never randomize your scouting, it gives too much information to your opponent, and there's too many things that you can play around in that case. Like you could run Zerglings around where the probe will come, or you could send the Overlord in a different direction because you know how he's going to scout, so you'll know where he is when it appears, that type of thing. So, it's just like it's an important thing is to vary your scouting patterns.
100%. Bisu's going to have this momentum behind him with just being able to get away with so much here. He's going to have extra probes here. His second gas is going to finish. We don't have the definitive tech yet for Larva. He's sitting on 250 gas, which is odd. You would think the gas would have gone to something a little bit sooner. Okay, so the layer was actually made at the third base. So the Spire is going to go back there. So this is going to be very standard stuff here from Larva.
And a Citadel in Starport coming up here for Bisu. Good to see that the Spire isn't out in the middle of nowhere for Zealots to pick off, like we saw yesterday. This probe trying to get in still, but with Zergling speed, you're not going to be able to do too much from here.
No, this probe's going to be taken out. And Bisu seems to be setting up one of these games where he is going to have his Corsairs coming. No weapons upgrade yet. Instead, he's going to be getting that Citadel of Adun very quickly. And we're into the powering phase here. The Spire will finish. And we don't have a second gas from Zerg, so this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be any mutas. It's likely to just be some Scourge.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Of course, you can kind of like hide that as well. We had a... Back when Remaster basically first came out, like the early seasons of KSL and ASL that we had there, Protosses would purposefully scout for second gas to see if it was muta, and then it actually evolved in this weird place where you'd go one gas muta, or possibly you'd go two gas Hydra and just kind of throw people off. So there's a small chance it could still be Mutalisks, but I think you're probably right that it won't be. I don't feel like we see that as much anymore. Generally, you just get that second gas.
The first Overlord's going to go down. He has to kill this and get out quickly. No, he's going to go a little bit deeper here. The Scourge are out. What you want to do with the Scourge is basically try to intercept them when they're returning. Exactly like this.
Ooh.
And, that's the risk. I thought Bisu was going to pull away, and this is what happens when you don't pull away in time. And, it's tricky. There is a way to maneuver this, but it's also dependent on how good the Zerg is at playing catch-up. And so far, Bisu's done a good job.
And we'll see.
One thing that can...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Well,
no.
There's certain ways to click the Scourge as well. If you just right-click Scourge onto a Corsair, a good Protoss player will be able to evade the Scourge and get home, because there's certain things you can do that screw up the Scourge and make them lose speed. But yeah, the Scourge has counterplay as well. Oh! I can't believe he almost got that in, by the way. He almost just walked his first DT into the main base of Larva.
Yeah, that was crazy looking. He just kind of glided right by, and then there was literally a body block with Lings on something they couldn't see, because a DT will one-shot a Ling, of course, but Bisu had it right-clicked because he was trying to scramble it up there, and it ultimately got killed off. So a huge save there, because Zerg never have an Overlord in their main at this phase of the game, because the other Overlords are either spread on the map or covering the two exterior bases. So, the main base is very vulnerable. We're getting to that muted tech we were talking about. So it was Scourge into a delayed muted tech. And by the way, this may be some crazy mass air game, because it's 3 gases.
This has always been something that Larva's very good at. This is like how he used to play ZVP very, very oftentimes. He's very good at turtling and utilizing Muta Scourge for a long time in the matchup. So I'm excited to see that. I like to see that. It's really refreshing in a world where everyone just likes to go Hydras and maybe utilize Mutas just to snipe High Templars. So wouldn't mind him trying to mass that up and maybe do some Ogre Zerg gaming.
Yes, I think so. I think we got to get a little bit like Shrek here. We got to do some Ogre Zerg gaming. Bisu, I think he can handle this pretty well. This was not double star. To counter that, double Stargate is beautiful, but this is single Stargate. But I think we're going to see that air armor finish, and there's going to be a big attempt to kind of slam in, kill the cannons, and then send a Scourge in after that. He's going to show this. There is a Scourge underneath this, but the Corsairs aren't going to bite the bait. They're going to stay back. Why is there one Corsair in the top left? That's so odd.
I don't know. He scouted top right, and then he scouted top left.
Oh,
I'm not...
He's looking for expansions. He's just trying to confirm if there's a 4th base somewhere else. Now, there will be, this time at 9 o'clock. But I suppose the idea is basically... is this going to be a tight game from the Zerg where they're going to be in their quadrant, or are they trying to expand in a place where they're going to take a base that's harder to hold but gives you more territory to kind of expand back into there?
Well, Larva is just going for the closest kind of pocketed high ground 4th base, just north of his 3rd base. So that's going to be pretty easily defendable, but you have to make new defenses there. Right, a lot of times when we see turtled Zerg play, especially from Larva in the old days, he would take another natural and then take the main base behind it. So he just have 2 big defense points. Here he's going to have 3 big defense points. So Bisu, I feel like Bisu's overall game plan here is better. He's just massing up. He's trying to hit critical mass, and I think he's just going to walk over and kill everything, because Larva doesn't really have we don't have lurkers from him. He has a bunch of mutas. But between Psy Storms, a few Corsairs, maybe he makes an Archon, he has a ton of Dragoons. Are you going to actually be able to make those mutas work? Oh, he is making lurkers, though. Okay, well, that's good, at least.
He is finally getting that. Yeah, well, this is one of the problems, is that the mutas, if they don't kill you there, then they can only be used to try to hit you with tech. You can also, by the way, when mutas are out like this, because you already saw them, it's not one of these, surprise muta tech switches. You can make a shuttle and put the Templars inside of the shuttle, and basically use that as almost like an APC or something, and carries the Templars around, because the mutas can't snipe shuttles quickly, and even if they do attack the shuttles, you just start to unload the Templars. We don't see it often, but anyways, we're going to see him move out. It doesn't look like he's going to get any shuttle to protect this, so with the Corsairs out, you just have to basically stay on top of the Templars.
Well, he's moving out onto the map right now. Bisu has drastically more supply than Larva. 171 to 117 is a big Protoss advantage there. But Larva is very good at turtling, so we'll see if he's actually able to do that, keeping these High Templars alive, each with 2 storms. That's 8 Psy Storms he has. 8 Psy Storms.
Yeah.
It really feels to me like he's going to be able
here.
to break whatever he wants. Like, this base, if he sees it, it's gone, obviously. But I think he can even break another base as well.
He's going to come in here, and again, I mean, he doesn't have enough Corsairs to really protect the Templars. You know, you don't need to make that shuttle I was talking about unless you have, like, you know, if you have 7 Corsairs or something, yeah, you're going to kill everything. But I think he's going to break this regardless. Where's the Observer?
He just picked him off with the Mutas. That was like the last thing he picked was the 2 Observers after he got 3 High Templars. So, I mean, he's definitely got a strat here. He's got like 2 Lurkers sitting there helping out, and then he brings some more Lurkers and Hydras up. Another Observer has come in from that main base. But Bisu's army is just so big. Look at this. The Lurkers, I don't know if they'll make a big enough difference.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see this many Zealots just tanking shots but still pushing through Lurkers. And, you know, there's no third base for Bisu. Like, he is just pumping out of all these gateways. And I think that basically there's nothing that Larva can do. This 2-base push, it might have been clumsy at moments, but I don't know that that matters. Bisu's going to dive on top of the Sunks. And, you know, the only thing that's really keeping Larva alive is this wall-in. Oh, my God, great storm up there on those stray Hydras. You know, it's hard to find value sometimes, you know, when the Hydra numbers get pretty small. He needs to basically just kill the den. Zealots are just streaming across the map. Larva taps out. GG. Frustrating loss there. You know, when you see a push coming like that, you know, it's funny. There were not that many great storms of the initial Templars, but there was just so much for Bisu, it didn't matter.
Yeah, I was very impressed when he actually got 3 High Templars that quickly before the battle really started. And then he even picked off the Observers, which allowed his third base, I guess, technically to stay up. But he had such spread defensive spots. He spent so much on the Mutas. The Mutas did very little other than snipe a few units. I don't know. It's kind of an antiquated way to play. I really like it. It feels to me like in my brain, like strategically there's merit here. But as we just saw, Bisu kind of rolled through him on that 2-base build.
You know, it's it makes me think, you know, if you see someone who's massing Scourge and Mutas, to just sit there on 2 bases and do an all-in kind of makes sense. Their Lurkers are late. Their 4th base is late. The Scourge don't really do a whole lot if they don't get any targets, right? You just kind of dumped gas into something that's not going to matter later. I don't know. Interesting play there by Bisu, but he definitely got across the map and did what he needed to do. Radeon will be where we'll go for map 3.
Radeon. Okay. I would say overall, we're seeing the same thing in both games. It looks like Bisu fundamentally is stronger, and then Larva is bringing in very interesting strategies. But what's he going to be able to bring into Radeon? Radeon is very, like, milquetoast, bland. There's nothing super interesting about the terrain, right? Like, it's pretty straightforward, similar to Polestar, but even more bland. So, I don't know. I think you got to just show, like, your overall macro skill here.
ASL Season 20.
Game 3's here. Bisu in the top right, Larva in the top left. And Bisu, I think, with a pretty good recovery there in Game 2 after a pretty rough Game 1. But, you know, these are the kind of PvZs that he plays, right? He got away with some crazy greedy stuff in that last game, though. I mean, you know, you really can't ask for a better build order than that. You know, we were just casting Best, who is known for cannon rushing and probably being better at cannon rushing than anybody else in the game. And that's his counter to hatchery first. And it's so refreshing to see how Bisu approaches this, which is to scout, and if he sees that it's going to be, you know, a super fast hatchery, literally do the opposite. Get a Nexus, apparently get a second pylon.
Yeah.
Get a forge late, get a gateway. You get your gas earlier, and just play kind of the racing game, really. You know, there's really two ways to go about it. You have Best, who tries to rush and punish and twist the arm of the player because they're in a vulnerable position. And then there's someone like Bisu in that last game who goes, I am going to literally ignore you and try to catapult ahead in my own way. Oh, thank you very much.
Ah, that's awesome. Thank you, man. This game is a 9-pool opener from Larva. So very, very different from what we saw previously. Yeah. Does a little extractor trick there to get that extra drone out. But Bisu just kind of coming over. He's going to be able to scout this right away. So it shouldn't be that hard to hold. You just keep your Zealots at home against this, right? Like, or do you feel like you need to get a Forge quickly?
Well, you can get a Forge as well. It depends on how many Lings they make. You know, when you see this, you have to treat it like you're being rushed, and you have to be a little bit scared. So, you know, let's see how he handles this. I've seen games where some players will still try to get the Nexus up, and they can lose. By the way, he went for a pylon block. That's really big. And what he's going to try to do is just chase this drone down so that he can't get a hatchery up. And then this makes Larva have to decide, am I going to chase this probe or am I going to rush? And he's going to ignore it. Okay, so we might need to see a Forge thrown down here to block the entrance off, because it's up to 8 Lings.
Yeah. Well, he's certainly going to have to pull probes.
It's a very different game than...
This is actually kind of scary.
Yeah, he's going to have the probes come back. He needs to both block the ramp, but then cover the pylon and the gateway. And so he's going to have the second Zealot. The second Zealot makes it a lot easier, but you need to have some of this on the ramp. Like you can see, he's sending a probe and a Zealot back. He's got, I guess, it's kind of not what I'm used to seeing, but you get the idea. He's got some stuff coming up. I think he might need to get the Forge up here at the entrance before the Nexus, or he can try to just micro it as best he can. But, you know, you don't have probes mining at moments like this. It's kind of scary.
I believe we're seeing a Zergling all-in Tasteless. A lot of Lings are being made and pooled there. I think he already has speed on the way. So this is actually really dangerous for Bisu. And he throws down the Nexus before the Forge. So he's going to have to get that Forge up, and he's going to have to turtle. But he doesn't have great intel right now.
That's correct. So he went for the Nexus before the Forge, which is fine if you get away with it. Had Larva sent all of these Lings up here, he might have been able to come and punish a little bit harder, but I guess the whole idea is he wants to do this surprise rush. So now the Lings are moving across the map. The Zealots are out in the front.
He did not see how many Lings were running past. Like, Larva get them through the fog of war there. He did see the Lings stop following the probe for the most part, though, so he might have an idea something's happening. Now, here come the Lings. They're going to start attacking the gateway. A big probe drill down. I think Bisu holds this. Like, he has... It looks like he's very well prepared, and even another Zealot pops out, which is going to tank a bunch of damage in there.
I think he's okay. Even if you kill the gateway, you can actually make a Forge under it because the Forge is smaller to fully block still. But you got to be careful. I mean, you can see that things are getting a little slippery over here at the front. The probes, when you tell them to go back, you got to make sure they don't trip up on the Zealots. Okay, I think he's fine.
Wow.
I think that Larva's dead.
Yeah. This looks terrible.
He doesn't have anything.
He has nothing. He's
so
just going
to
try it
keep
again.
Making Lings. Yeah. The gateway is low on HP, but I don't think that it can be killed. Maybe Larva tries to stay in the game, but this looks really bad.
Yeah, he needs some luck here. He needs Bisu to really screw up, I think. Maybe he can try to follow this up into a Hydralisk build? Like... His drone count is so pathetic, though. It's like his economy is nothing.
Well, Bisu's made a mistake. His core is like halfway done, and he wasn't mining gas.
Okay.
Which is never a thing. Obviously, Larva doesn't know that. A good call. He is going to go for the Hydralisk Den. Kind of predictable. You can even see the blind second cannon made. I think Bisu might have been making that even just in case it was mass Lings to kill the gateway. But, you know... At this point in time, you're not in the biggest hurry as Bisu to tech up. This always feels like a very different game than, you know, your standard PvZ because you know they've made a ton of Lings, and you were making probes the whole time. That's always the big difference people have to remember is that Protoss can make probes continuously because they all come from the Nexus. Zerg have to choose between a drone or a Zergling early on because they're coming from the same source, which is Larva. And now we're going to see him move out. Now, I don't know about him really moving out. The second cannon will keep him a lot safer from counterattacks. He's going to go for it. He uses the probes to block.
Ooh, very smart, very smart. And the Zergling's going to turn around. Yeah, he doesn't want him to see that there's Hydras on the way. I do want to get your opinion on this. Do you think it might be, do you think he's going straight Hydra speed, or could it be the range rush, where you break down the wall and allow your speedlings to do a lot of damage?
I think it's got to be Hydra speed. I think you're going to get both, but you're trying to win. Hydra speed, you're trying to kill cannons. Basically, what Bisu's doing is he's forcing his way across the map to see what's happening, because he doesn't know if it's 2-hatch layer, 3-hatch Hydra. He doesn't know if Zerg's making a 4th hatchery and just droning up. You don't know what's going on. So he didn't actually commit all the way across, which is pretty impressive. He thought, okay, you've probably made enough. Now, he has a bad read, by the way. He made a second Stargate. He thinks he would have seen Hydras already, and that's probably what prompted the second Stargate. I still think it's very winnable for Bisu.
Yeah.
Just because Larva's economy is in really horrendous shape. But he's going to come across with his Corsair and see that. And it's going to be a lot more cannons here. You can see he made way too many, or I guess he canceled them, but he was making way too many cannons in his main to basically try to hard counter Mutas.
So he cancels at least one of those out. I think we just saw him remaking a Forge in his main, too. Maybe he thinks that's about to go down. He still has the double Stargates blinking there, so like he's making more Corsairs than I expected, but he might be able to get some counter pressure on with those while he blocks this Hydra rush.
So he's going to take out the Forge, assuming these cannons don't finish in time. And that's annoying. You denied an upgrade there. He'll get out right before it's done. Maybe he goes for the gateway next over here. Yeah. And, you know, he didn't all in with the Hydras. He got enough that it felt kind of scary, and then he stayed back. He made just enough Hydras to protect his Overlords. He's droning up. And, you know, it's been a rocky game for both of these players. Bisu has made some tech mistakes. You know, getting that second Stargate isn't helping. You can see he's just stopped making Corsairs entirely. I think he's got 3 or 4 over here he's scouting with. But he knows if he sees Mass Hydra, he's going to have to go into a ground game. So he's powering up and going into, you know, double Forge. He'll be getting his Templar Archives soon here. And it's going to come down to Larva holding this push off.
Well, Larva right now, I'm surprised how much he was actually able to recover off the back of this Hydra rush. It really, like, he was so low on drones. I would still be shocked if he's able to field as large an army here as he's going to need against Bisu's push, because Bisu's, like, probe count has been so strong this whole time. The Corsair's flying around. He does pick off an Overlord there. He's going to continually get really high-quality scouting as well. So it still definitely looks really good for Bisu. But, like, I am impressed with how well Larva has kind of, like, maneuvered his way out of that terrible Zergling all-in that just completely failed.
Yeah. It's so hard to pull off. But, you know, he kept it tricky for Bisu. I think Bisu really struggled here. I think a lot of these Hydra pressure games or all-ins, you know, it feels like Protoss doesn't have anything because they're just making cannons and losing gateways and forges. But eventually, a huge amount of gateways finish. And because they were making probes the whole time, there's going to be an insane amount of production coming out of them. And so this is where it's going to be 2 base versus 3 base. Bisu's going to look for openings and see where he can hit. The final piece of the puzzle is going to be the Robo Bay, which I don't believe we have teched up to yet. But if we don't have lurkers, it's not really a factor on who can win or lose in a fight.
A lot of hatcheries have been made. He's actually still fielding a lot of Zerglings as well, which, while there's no +1 or even +1 armor there, these Zerglings definitely will be really, really useful. And in fact, they might help him to catch and surround this group of Zealots. This is actually really smart. We never see this, but this is actually kind of brilliant from Larva. Utilizing his Lings before that upgrade to kill this Zealot group off. Normally, this Zealot group gets away without any problem, like maybe a little bit of hull damage on a couple, but Larva's basically killing them off. This is like some high-level stuff we're seeing from Larva.
No, it's really smart. Yeah, without +1. Because at this phase of the game, normally +1's done, and Lings explode when they touch the Zealots. Like, you just never want to have your Lings go in because they're going to be killed. But, yeah, he was basically body blocking them and attacking, and then the Hydras were coming in and shaving down the HP of the Zealots. It's really impressive. I think the first observer is being made, by the way. These Zealots just can't quite get back home, by the way. And he's teched into mutas. Now, remember, when you see a lot of Hydras come out early on, you stop making Corsairs. So he got up to 4 Corsairs because he had 2 Stargates, but he did stop. And the idea is you want to be able to snipe these Templars when the push comes, just like we saw him try to do in the previous game, but the setup for this is a lot better.
The Mutas try to hit the main base, but the Corsairs are there, and he turns and actually decides to fight them since there are so few, but a great Psystorm comes down. Oh my god. Almost all the Mutas go down very, very close to death. Those are not going to be useful for quite some time.
I mean, these are paper mache Mutalisks right now. Lurker Tech. The Queen Tech's coming up here for the Hive. And Bisu's going to move out. He's moving into the center of the map. He's going to try to push. And Larva's going to play a really tight game here. I mean, he's going to basically go to Hive Tech without a 4th or 5th hatchery here. He's got 6 hatches, so he's basically just getting mass upgrade Tier 1 units. I said Bisu was going to push, but I guess he will take a 3rd base here first.
And a 3-base Hive from Larva. Not what I was expecting for sure. As far as the Hive goes, like, it must be for Defiler, right? Because I'm thinking about it, I'm like,
well,
I mean, Cracklings are
Adrenal.
good. Well, they're good, but Bisu has double Forge going on, and I don't think he can keep up with those upgrades. So I feel like...
I think that with a Carapace upgrade, you're always ahead now as Zerg. Like, his Carapace level 2 should be finishing. So the idea is that you just overpower them with Cracklings.
So he already has +1 Carapace?
Zerg does, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You're right. So okay, that's awesome.
I believe the idea is basically you just get a bunch of Cracklings out, and, you know, Cracklings are a nightmare to deal with. I mean, they're so good that, you know, you're not killing them with your Zealots the way you normally would. Now, you might be able to get good storms. You know, sometimes the way that the Lings kind of, the formation they enter before they hit, you can melt them. But let's see. Now, he's going to hit before the Lurkers finish, and that's a big deal. Oh, never mind. He's going to turn around.
Wow, the Mutas actually do help to snipe one of these High Templars. The Storm comes down to try to stop that. He's pretty clumped up here. There are a lot of Zealots in here. There's a lot of Psystorm available. I think this is going to be very hard for Larva to hold.
Yeah, Larva's looking really brittle here. This is one of the things that happens when you rush into layer this fast. Like, you don't have the core stuff you need a lot of times. And so the Observers, if they just inch in here, now +2 armor is done, but the real issue is the +2 attack for Protoss. So he's going to move in, but I think there's just not enough of anything. I think actually Bisu wins this, very similar to what happened in the last game.
Larva was trying really, really hard to snipe those Observers and just was not able to get them. Bisu was very on top of pulling those back in time against the Scourge. But it feels like that is a recurring theme here from Larva, where it's like he doesn't have quite enough, but he has tricks. And if Bisu's stopping those tricks, Larva's having a very hard time holding on.
Yeah. Bisu's trying to rock the boat, but... sorry, Larva's trying to rock the boat. Bisu's not falling off. You know, that's a game where, like, the beginning ripples all the way through to the end. 9-pool pressure, and Bisu, you know, he didn't waver. There was a setup to basically try to overwhelm him with a surprise amount of Lings. It didn't work. You know, Bisu got his Nexus up, got the Forge later, got the second cannon up. Here's where those Lings came out. And look, this is 21 probes to 8 drones. So, I mean, from here, you've made. If you don't win here as Zerg, you've made a very difficult game for yourself.
Yeah. I didn't mind the idea. It seemed like the Forge was going to come in late and everything, but Bisu just held perfectly. Like, this micro here was amazing. The way he was pulling the Zealots back. Look at the line he makes here, where there's no real surface area. Just really good control from Bisu. He did this. It felt like he did this basically perfectly.
Yeah, the Lings are going to come up here. And, I mean, this is where it got a little bit scary. He definitely didn't have the right positioning with the Zealots. There is an art to trying to get probes and Zealots to go where they need to be in moments like that. And look, the tech was a little bit upside down, but it's deliberate. As he was, like, you know, rushing into a hive before the Lurkers were ready to go. And, you know, you really do have to have lurkers positioned perfectly in order for this to work. We also saw the #2 armor upgrade here come out, which just gives you a lot more sustain. You are trying to win a lot of your damage with Storm at that point in time.
Well, Larva tried to hold on with these lurkers. If he had been able to hold here, you're going to see in a second, I think, the Scourge come out after those observers. And, like, it really feels like he keeps relying on moves like this. We've seen him really be, like, such an observer sniper, but you can look at that. Like, he just pulls it back and he's unable to do it. If you slowed that down, if he had killed all 3 of those observers, that might have been enough for him to rally enough in here to end up holding this. But wasn't able to do it, and Bisu just rolls through.
It's interesting to see Bisu, like, only making Zealots just across the map there, knowing, like, I just have to have enough to tank in the front and take it. And that means Bisu goes up 2-1 right now in the lead here after 2 pretty difficult games for Larva. This is a best of 7, so I think we've got plenty more of the set ahead of us still. But Bisu, you know, when you get to these maps that have these kind of fundamental features, he seems to be pretty strong. We'll be right back.
For esports pros, awareness is essential. That's why the Black Shark V3 Pro is tuned in to what matters most. A quantum leap in speed for instant audio response. Full range clarity that carries every shot call. Advanced ANC to eliminate all distractions. And crisp, clean sound that captures key audio cues. Made for the best. Made for who you can be.
We're back, everybody. You know, game 2 and 3 were a big reminder of Bisu's fundamentals. And what we kind of brought up before this whole series started, right? Like, look, that the map with the islands, it's fun, it's cool, right? It brings a lot of novel-looking games and kind of a very different feel and experience for a PvZ. But that's not what most maps are. And Bisu has basically been bullying Zergs on land maps where he fast expands and eventually pushes for like over 2 decades. 2 decades. It's insane. You know, so Larva's got some cool ideas, but again, it's the same question we asked ourselves earlier on. Can Larva do something to throw Bisu off? So far, the answer is no. And we're about to go to Metropolis. Now, this is another map. You could do some cheesy stuff. Big open areas in the main. Maybe some tricky drop play. I don't know. If anybody's going to do it, I think Larva would be the guy.
I think he needs to veer away from some of the Mutalisk-based strats. Like, Bisu's just too good against that stuff. It works against most Protoss, but this is the wrong guy.
ASL Season20.
All right, guys, we're going to go into our next game here. Right now, Bisu up with a 2-1 lead versus Larva. Okay, Bisu here in the top left, Larva in the bottom left, and I totally agree with you, Tastosis. I don't really think you can try to go Mutaplay versus Bisu because you're eventually teching into his counter. Now, obviously, if you go for Mutas after a Hydra Rush, you have kind of forced him off of the Corsair tech, but it didn't seem to be an issue in that last game, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's what I expected, what we've seen so far, where Bisu just looks, with the basics, the fundamentals, to be a stronger player, and then Larva has like some well-thought-out strats, and he's being kind of tricky. But like, you can't just consistently rely on things like sniping observers because your army is too small and you need to buy time with invisible units, right? Like, stuff like that makes for very flashing, exciting games and moments, but over the course of a best of 7, that's not how you beat the greatest Protoss ever to have lived.
I think you made a great point, Tastosis. That artwork we saw back there is so funny looking.
Oh, I missed it. It was so sad.
It's like the Zerg units, but it's like Larva's eyes behind them, like through the glass. It took me a minute. Cracked me up. This is a gateway expand. And this is going to be the probe scouting in what we would call like the normal direction. He's going to scout towards where, if the Overlord were to check the usual spot, in this case Larva is doing a normal scout pattern, they would meet each other first. In this case, they're going to end up scouting each other last because, you can see that Protoss is here in the top left. The second Overlord's going in that direction. The drone is cross-scouting. And once again, it's going to be Larva here going for these hatch openings here that can get pressured here by Bisu with the gateway play.
Yep. And I think he basically has the best early game zealots. It's him or Mini, but I would probably lean towards Bisu just slightly. I'm not really sure how he does it. There's like the pressure game in StarCraft is the most difficult thing to describe and to pull off consistently, is like how to correctly pressure your opponent, because it gives like invisible benefits, you know, where it's like, yes, I didn't do damage, but for instance, he had to make 2 more lings, right, which is 1 less drone, or, you know, I'm keeping a forward position, so he has to play a little bit more in the dark, things like that. And Bisu is such a master of these invisible concepts that are really hard to describe, that like a lot of it might look the same like micro-wise, but the way he's moving the units are giving him a different type of value than you might normally see.
No, you're 100% spot on. By the way, we almost saw Bisu actually block that third hatchery, which would have been crazy. We are having gas taken. You know, it wouldn't blow me away if Larva tried to go for a den here.
Yeah.
I just feel like in all these games, Larva's going to try to do something to get in there and make it a headache. So his forge is going down. It was actually gas before forge. These are these little subtle things. The more scared you are, the more quickly you'll try to get a forge and a cannon up. The safer you feel, you might get a gas quicker. You know, we all learned from Mini, you can get a core before the forge. But in this case, it looks like he wants to play a pretty safe game.
Yeah. Well, I like him sitting back and just kind of getting everything together. You know, I think that Bisu has shown that overall he's a bit of a stronger player. So to just kind of like cross your T's, dot your I's, get all your stuff into a position to go further into the game is going to lead to a lot of better positions for him.
So he's going to rotate the Zealot back. Oh my God! Now that looks crazy, but if I were Bisu, I'd think, oh man, he's going for a den.
Yeah,
but he's not. So there's a lot of deception happening here. That looked like a Zerg that was freaking out and doing anything to just not show you the den. We'll see if Bisu takes the bait or not.
What is
but,
with
when
him
you get enough
banking
zealots,
so much money, by the way, Tastosis? You mentioned this in a previous game where you got 250 gas and in a spend. He's at 350.
Yeah, I don't know. Does he have a layer? No.
No.
So what is happening here?
He's just mining gas. This reminds me of like some weird PVT builds. What?
I think he sent the Overlord into the main and was checking for something. What he was looking for, I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But I think, was there a chance that the Stargate was skipped and there's like, 3 gateways there?
Mm-hmm.
And so he probably realizes, okay, I don't have to do anything. He got his 4th hatchery before his den. But, the truth is, Artosis, I actually can't quite tell you. Clearly there's a reason. It's not like he forgot to just make something, but it looks like what he wants to do is scout first. And if he sees that Bisu's developing in a pretty standard paced game, he thinks, okay, I can get a few more drones. He's going to get his 5th hatchery here.
Okay.
And maybe not rush out Hydras too fast or do anything like that.
I actually think I know what it is. I think this is actually a 5-hatch Hydra as opposed to a 3-hatch Hydra. Like he's banked up a ton of gas and gotten that a little bit slower. Like he's gotten the den on like a stop Corsair timing type thing. But the thing is, this would hit a lot later, but he's got a way stronger economy with it. It seems a little bit tricky. Like what this looks like to me is like a build where, like, if you told Larva, Bisu is going to go 2 Stargate Corsair, make a build that kills it. This looks like a decent idea for that, if that makes sense. Like you're going to have a much heavier Hydra count that just suddenly comes out, and it would hit a B4 Psystorm against a 2 Stargate Corsair.
Yeah, you might be right. I'm curious. I think he just wanted to identify if it was a mainline build or one of these obtuse builds. Even Bisu's now going for double Stargate a lot. And I think he's going to have a pretty healthy setup.
Yeah.
We've got additional gateways coming down here. Bisu's playing about, as standard of a game as you could ever see. In a PvZ, there's nothing really special about this. That's not good or bad. That's just the kind of game he's playing. It is very textbook. And, at this point in time, probably for Bisu, he doesn't really feel like he has to show any fancy strats or do anything too crazy. He's just going to play the game he's been playing for 2 decades plus. And, he also, by the way, Bisu did a good job scouting and ditched, overdoing Corsairs here. So here come the Zealots.
Well, they do have that +1. Actually get caught there for a second on a move command, so take a bit more damage than they should have, but still going to cut through these Lings pretty quickly and get on top of these Hydras. But the Hydra count is starting to explode. He's just started really making them. Now, the Zealot count is actually so large, he's actually getting on top of these Hydras really, really well.
He's also getting a couple Zealots to just target down these drones, and this is the damage you want. He's basically, oh my god, he's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, he got a lot done. You're fine trading out and killing a couple of Hydras, but he's also killing a lot of drones.
Oof.
He's going to get another one. That's 3 drones and some lost Hydras. And what Bisu does so well is he seesaws where the Zealots are going. Now, he realizes, okay, I'm not going to be able to run into the main there. Is he going to try to take this fight down here? This feels like it's a little bit risky, but I guess with the reinforcements, he's confident he can take it.
All right, well, the Zealots continue to come in here, and they're trading really well against these Hydras. He's actually hitting this basically perfectly just before we have the critical mass that would turn this away. And I feel like these trades have been very good with the Zealots so far.
It's funny because, you know, the Hydras, they can be microed really well, but it seems like Bisu's taking enough good fights. And what he's doing now is he's going to, you know, force the Zerg to go all the way back into his main. He's just running around being annoying, and then the Zealots come over here, and it's going to be more drone kills over here now.
Okay, I think
we can't see where.
I think he's going to stabilize here. Yeah, we can't see it behind
like
the
the observer doesn't know the hockey to hide the map, but there was a Zealot behind there. He's going to come and hit from 2 different angles now. He wants to try to sandwich the Hydras. The Hydras are going to have to go by the hatchery. By the way, I think if Bisu overextends, he can start to lose this game. I mean, it does feel like the Zerg is getting pretty big here.
Now the Zealots, yeah, it feels like he's kind of hit that stabilization point. He's got like enough Hydras, the running in of Zealots. I don't think it's going to work that much anymore. But Bisu has a really clear path here, right? You go up to Storm, maybe you still poke in a little bit, but you can just turn around and run. You know, that's the nice thing about the speed Zealots. And why I really like that move that we saw in the other game where he kind of surrounded them with the Lings and everything. But he doesn't have anything like that. Oh my god, a DT actually kind of sneaks in over there, but it gets pushed back pretty quick. 1 drone kill.
Again, I feel like Bisu's getting a little bit too deep in here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's great to know that you can get that much damage, but you do need to know when to pump the brakes on this. And I think with that overextension, Larva's probably okay. You know, he did still lose a lot of workers back there. Kind of an interesting 6-gate pressure. Sort of locks in at that, only making Zealots, and just tries to streamline that all across the map. So Larva's going to have a counterattack coming up here. Now, I assume Storm is done, but we don't have any way to know. Yeah. Okay, yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, we do, Tasteless, when he casts a Storm. Duh.
Was that a Storm? I can't tell. But, you know, from here, I think Larva's in a much safer spot. I think Bisu's next push is going to be scary. And Larva, by the way, he's not turtled up in a way where he's got sunken colonies or lurkers. He's just got this core of Hydras.
I'm not a fan of Larva's position in this game. Like, I think that Bisu put on exactly enough pressure. He should have pulled back with the very last group of Zealots. I think he overcommitted. But other than that, everything he did, I think, was really good, really on point. And now he's just getting into, like, a very strong army that he's really good at controlling. And we haven't seen Larva try to utilize, like, this base Hydra composition as much.
Yeah. Lots of Hydras coming out here. I think, Bisu, when you realize there's this many Hydras and you don't see a Spire, you think, okay, I got to just get a big army and push. Because Hydras alone will lose to Psystorm. You just get a couple good Psystorms off, and then you have this perfect composition to fight with. So he's got his 4 Templars. It's going to be a very straightforward PvZ, one we've seen all the way in the past, and we see it now here. And I'm a little bit worried for Larva. The Lurker tech's going to kick in late. He's trying to hide it, but that also means it's not going to be in a spot to defend. Now, he might try to counterattack. In fact, he might even try to drop. Now, the drop, there's some genius here, actually. But the problem is can you actually stop this attack from Protoss?
Well, yeah, I don't think that he can.
Know.
I don't think that he can. Like, look at this army coming down here from Bisu. It looks so strong. There's, like, nothing in position. Yeah, the Lurkers and Hydras are coming out. I don't know. Maybe he kills the natural and then, like, somehow holds on with Lurker at home because there's not detection, that type of thing. I could see that occurring.
Okay, Storm comes down here. And this is scary, actually, for Bisu.
Yeah.
Because the Zerg can really tear this up a lot faster than the Protoss can. The Lurker Egg is crazy. The fact that he has to storm that is really bad. Dude, maybe Larva actually wins this.
might.
This is insane.
I think it's just detection based. Like if he can kill the observer that's with Bisu's army, I could, you know, like there's not going to be enough storms to remove as many lurkers as he can probably field. Now the lurkers going up and getting Bisu's main nexus, this is huge. He's stopping basically all mining at this point.
And you know, oh god, but there's no Hydras here.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the third base? He's remaking the den. The Protoss doesn't have any bases right now. Oh my god, the drones are running. I don't know if he has Storm available. Bisu's doing an insane job, by the way, pushing in here and cleaning this up. This is something I think almost nobody in the whole world could do right now but him. But the thing is, if Larva can just stabilize right now, if he can just set up, okay, nice Storm, and he actually keeps both Templars alive. If Larva can just turtle here, he's going to have a functioning economy. Sure, he's not going to have a lot of hatcheries. There's still a decent amount of drones mining. It's just Dragoons. Dragoons versus Lings is not a pretty fight. A Zealot's going to come in here. He throws down a Storm. It's going to get basically all the drones but one. He's sending the Zealots back.
It looks like
Dude,
Bisu
this
has
is an
this too.
insane game.
Yeah, it
Protoss
really
is mining again. I think there's like 5 probes in this game. There's 1 lurker. There's a lot of Zealots coming up.
Well,
but without detection.
So Bisu's on like 3 probes, something like that. And okay, he's got 3 here, and I think he has 1 in the main base, or maybe 2 now. And look at this, Larva is trying to get in and actually kill some of these. The Storm goes off and kills a High Templar and a probe, and then he gets the other probe. There's 2 probes left, and he's at 26 minerals.
Where did the Ling go? Did the Ling get killed? Did it burrow?
I don't know.
I felt like it just
Yeah, it felt like
maybe
it
got
disappeared.
picked up in the Overlord. It's in the Overlord, I think.
Oh, it's in the Overlord?
Well, I think so. I didn't see it get killed.
Dude, a 1 Zergling drop would be pretty nuts. So it's 2 probes against 1 base Zerg. Oh my god. And you know what?
But
he might hold on here too.
This game actually could just not end. He's going to drop the lurker. There's a small lurker drop.
Sacrificing a lurker for 1 probe. It's just
no
crazy.
Lurker here.
Oh
There's
my
no
god.
Lurker. He used a lurker that was defending. So now it's just a push for sunken colonies and a Hydra. But it's a lot of sunks.
Yeah, you got to target down that Archon pretty quickly. He did refocus fire.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't actually have a spawning pool, so he can't make that into a sunken, unfortunately. He's got this one
It also
sunk
has
back
to be
here.
Hydras hatching here.
Yeah,
Can't
that's
be,
true.
Yeah, it's going to be no Lings. You can't get that. Dragoons can be microed here pretty well versus Hydras. They do have better range.
Oh my god. Yeah, they've got those great upgrades too.
This is crazy.
And he's made a Spire. I think that was a good idea to try to get like the rest of the probes. But look at that. Yeah, 6
probes.
workers. Oh my god, this is such an insane game. This is so
He's
crazy.
going to dive on the sunk.
Yeah.
He's going to dive on it. The Dragoons. Okay, the sunk is actually targeting the Dragoons. They go down. You know, the Zealot, it's just enough. I think the game is over.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to kill these Zealots off with, even if he gets that Dragoon. Man.
This is one of the craziest games.
That was a crazy game. This is a great series. Wow. GG.
Whoa.
You see Larva. He is he looks sad, to say the least. He's put up some very good fights with really cool strategies. Yeah. I actually, when I first saw Bisu going down towards Larva's base, I'm like, there's no way. Like, this army can't be stopped. And then Larva's like, but I do have a lot of lurkers up at your base, you know? And it became so interesting, almost getting all the probes. But Bisu's crisis management there was just good enough.
I can't emphasize how hard it is to both push up a ramp with lurker eggs and go back with an observer, Dragoon, Zealots, and Templars and reclaim your base. Like, that's insane.
Things get so messy against lurkers. Same types of things happen in Terran vs. Zerg, where if there's a weird base trade and lurkers are involved, you're like, oh man, this is so stressful. Like, if you miss control, everything's going to blow up. You got to really give attention to both locations. But great play there from Bisu. I tell you, Bisu is quietly putting out a very strong season so far. All of his games have looked really good. He really dialed in. This is actually what I thought we'd see from Bisu last season. I was talking about how he was in great shape going into the season, and I thought he could go very far, and then he kind of failed on that, but we're really seeing that come through now.
So here comes this attack, and I think we're in agreement, Tastosis. I looked at this, and I'm like, oh, this looks really good for Zerg. Because Protoss isn't quite big enough to be 100% sure they can break through here, you know? By the way, Zerg has no defenses, so you know that everything's in units, which shows how strong the counterattack is. I thought it was going to be a drop for some reason.
Yeah.
In the main, he didn't actually have drop yet. And then he just sort of ran up and killed the infrastructure. And you know you can't use a DT or anything to block that because they've got overlords. So here's where that overlord was with the lurker. So he sent this out. Wait, what?
Oh.
Oh my God. So I said earlier in the cast that the lurker was part of the drop because we saw a lurker up there. Apparently, it was inside of an overlord.
That was definitely a mistake of some sort. Like, even one more lurker in here for that whole fight, he might hold that. Like, that was a very close fight back and forth.
100%.
And one more lurker, like, the amount of damage one lurker can put out if it's positioned correctly is insane. It's like hundreds and hundreds of damage. So, yeah, and look, he had another lurker just sitting here as well. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, you know what? I think he absolutely could have won this if he had just utilized those two lurkers slightly better.
Well, the game would have gone on. I don't know if he would have won, but the game would not have ended. But yeah, not having a lurker there to fire several shots into that army is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that lurker we saw at the very end up there, I thought that was the lurker that must have been picked up and sent over there.
Yeah. Wow.
That's so weird.
This, right now, by the way, this is looking like it might be the most one-sided series we have in the round of 8, but also maybe the best series in a lot of ways. I guess Mini Barracks was really fun, but like this is... I'm really enjoying this one. These games are so dynamic. They're showing such a wide variety of skills. It's really, really fun.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
ASL, Tastosis, and Korea. The Holy Trinity.
We're going to knockout, everybody. If Bisu wins this, it's over. If Larva wins this, he starts his comeback.
Yep.
And talk about stressful after a game like that. You know, Larva could have been tied up 2-2. Instead, that's going to be a haunting game. And, you know, I don't know if he even has been told that the lurker was in the overlord or not.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to talk to the players at this phase of the game. You know, they're in their element. They're supposed to be left alone. But don't worry, guys. Someone on Larva's stream is going to tell him. He won't go the rest of his life without knowing that, I'm sure. But Larva looks probably more stressed than I think I've ever seen him here.
Yeah, he's
looks like he gives a nod. He's ready to start.
And he's slumped. He's shaking. Man, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's mentally defeated. I think Bisu just wins this game. Larva should just 3-hatch Hydra. I'm not even joking. Just do the simplest all-in there is to try to get yourself back into this. Because the way his body language tells me he's not winning a macro game here.
Okay, Bisu in the top right, Larva in the top left here. I'm giving the final plug of the day here because I'm worried Larva might die out. Consider getting on the Patreon, guys. We love you guys. We hope to earn your support. We want to keep doing this forever. We love all sorts of games, but this is the best one. So StarCraft forever.
That's so true. It really is the best one. I guess, you know, both of us played a lot of games as kids and young teenagers and stuff, and StarCraft came along and we just kind of stuck on it. And that was really like the golden age of video games too, I think. You know, you look back to the games that were around in that era, like a lot of those still exist. You know, the Counter-Strike, all the fighting games, you know, even the console games, like the great older Final Fantasies, whether they be called 3 or 6. You know, it's whatever camp you're in. But yeah, it's like I guess we're just lucky in a way that we were born at the right time and like we hit StarCraft at the right time that we're like, oh, because this isn't just like a nostalgia thing either. You know, like I mean, it's just it has this thing that it maintains. It doesn't ever get patched. It's always evolving. Like, it's just the best game. It's the best game.
Well, the game's a beautiful accident. Look, we were born, you know, too late to explore the world, too early to explore space, but just in time to explore the StarCraft Brood War meta for the next the last 25 years,
Yeah,
the next 25 years from here on out.
Absolutely.
This is going to be the first Forge expand game. I know we had a Forge before Gateway in a previous game, but that was off of a Nexus before Forge game. You know, one thing with Bisu, and you tell me if you're getting the same vibes as me, but it's a little bit like Light or JYJ in TVZ, where it's like, when the push happens, it's just too good. Oh, well, never mind, Tastosis. I don't care about what you think. The cannon rush is happening now.
You are right. The cannon rush is starting to occur. Leaves the drone there. He's going to probably try to jump him back, but what Bisu will do is double pylon here so they don't fit. It's a very good strategy.
You can still get one through, but then you get the first hit off because the probe is skating around the top. You can even cancel that now.
Yep. And then you throw the pylon down. Ooh, he's trying to catch the second probe. That's strong. To catch the second probe is a big deal because now this one's stuck and you don't have another cannon. This is actually very holdable now.
Yeah, no, this is 100% holdable, I think. He sends another probe. Okay, I love when I see pros in situations like this because, you know, my games look like this where I'm like, oh, I'm going to win. Nope, I lost, and now I don't know what the best move is. But Bisu's going to show me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually, I think Larva just holds this easily, and this becomes Larva advantage, doesn't it?
But he can hit that creep colony. He messed up.
Yeah, he placed it just slightly off. Sunken's...
Are you serious?
Like... Yeah, he needs to place it just one matrix to the right, I think. And, well, with the Zerglings coming out, like, they generally can slip in between some of these holes that don't look like they're slippable. I don't know. I don't know about this position on this map. But a lot of times they'll fit into the spots that, like, drones can't, so.
Well, is he going to fake a counter? No, he just pulls him back a little bit.
By the way, the probe here is to stop anything from trying to get down. But yeah, you can see he can slip right back there and hit the cannon. So he will be able to clear this. You know, Bisu was able to force a lot of lings, so that's something at least. But definitely feels like advantage Larva from there.
No, this is a really good game for Larva for sure. If the cannon rush doesn't kill the hatchery, the Zerg's in a good spot. As long as you didn't lose too many drones or anything weird. So the idea is that cannon would have finished, and then as it's finishing, the probe that was on the outside that was killed, if that wasn't killed, he would have thrown down 3 more cannons. And basically, you just kill off the hatchery. And, you know, it's such an uphill game for the Zerg. And that's what we got here. So it's 1 cannon now at the expansion. Right now, Bisu's just checking around the map. He wants to see where that third base is, and he found that. And, you know, we can have any potential game from here on out. Now, I was about to say this. This doesn't feel safe to not have this blocked, and I guess Bisu was willing to take somewhat of a risk.
Yeah.
Just because he needs to mine more. But, like, you do need that entrance blocked. You need to get the Zealots out. I guess in a game where he's already behind, he's just deciding, like, I'll just, you know, take the risks, and here we are once again, Zealots inside the main chasing probes around.
And 3 Hatch Hydra follow-up really makes a lot of sense here from Larva. I think that's the perfect type of thing to do when you're already delaying a lot of their mining here with the Lings, when it's a failed cannon rush and everything's a little bit slower. So, and like I said before, I think when you're in this kind of nervous, upset position, you should do the simplest possible strategy.
I think so. I think when you see that the probes are having to be interrupted while they mine, it does feel like someone like Bisu probably can still hold this, though. You know, I guess he dies to 3 Hatch Hydra like everything else. By the way, this is a little trick you see often: is that once you have 1 Zealot inside your main chasing that, you send every other Zealot across the map to just attack drones, because a lot of Zergs will just get super greedy. And this is a great way to kind of interrupt them and stick it back to them.
And he actually gets a drone there as well. And there's a 4th hatchery in the bottom left being made, which I find really interesting. It's kind of a weird timing to see that 4th hatchery before any Hydras even come out. So definitely a slightly different build than what it looked like.
Well, you know what I think it is, Artosis, is that the whole rhythm of the game is different because this was a failed cannon rush.
Yeah.
So I think he's just Hydra busting, but he also can afford a 4th hatchery. Now, if you make your 4th hatchery there, I certainly hope that this Hydra bust works, because if they get to attack you and you have 3 targets they can hit, you're probably not going to hold.
Yeah, that's going to be very difficult to hold on against Speed Zealots. So some more cannons coming up here for Bisu. Don't forget that little divot there. There's a lot of low ground in there. So if you do try a rush here, you're going to be missing shots, especially right when you're in the middle. Okay, so right where he was just standing, right before the middle, that is considered low ground. I saw some missed shots on the Hydras there. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to see exactly where the pixels are for the low ground. But yeah, this is part of why Knockout was made like this, was to make 3-hatch Hydra weaker, right? It's part of the idea to try to get a Protoss champion and get rid of Sulky for this season.
Now, I don't know that 4th hatch is going to be scouted. I don't know that it would necessarily occur to the player to start checking other bases. I think what he's going to do with the Corsair is circle back around and check if the 4th hatch has started somewhere else. And, even with the divot, I guess when you look at it, they actually get to shoot across from that. It's like firing over the, to the other side of a half pipe here. So they get the forge. No +1. And no layer, by the way. So it's actually, 1, 3, 5. It's 6 hatch right now with no layer.
6 hatch, 4 base. Some good production going on.
Yeah.
2nd forge gets made into the main base there for Bisu. He has like
and
a
Bisu's
very
gonna basically
quick
power. Sorry, Artosis.
I was going to say he has a very quick robotics. Like, it's okay, Tastosis. I knew I shouldn't have showed up today. What's he? Oh,
he's going to do a
DT
DT drop.
Okay.
So you can always do this if you see that their main is kind of pointed towards your main or natural, as long as you can clear whatever's going to spot. Now, it seems like this is pretty common knowledge because Larva has Lings stuffed up at the top to spot this. But he's actually going to send this the other way. Wow, okay.
Do you just drop it out and walk from here? Because the shuttle can be seen on minimap. Yeah, see, he just flew over some Lings. So, and Larva saw that. The Lings immediately moved. That's unfortunate. I almost felt like he should have just unloaded and just walked it across.
I think you're right. But what he wants to do is actually go into the main anyways. So he wanted to go in the main. He just figured this is too predictable.
Yeah.
Because I thought the same thing. I thought, yeah, just unload it and send it out. It's invisible. It's like better to just, make sure that nothing. If there's no Overlord there, you never know what's going to be there. There is an Overlord coming into the main.
Well, that's very smart from
a
Larva.
lot of times. I love it.
Wow,
now,
great block.
You don't want this to die. You never want this to just kill drones and die. You want to do whatever damage you can and then run away, and he fails at that. The reason why the shuttle isn't back home is because you want to try to pick it up and then send it somewhere else on the map.
Maybe you can run something else over there later as well and just leave the shuttle nearby to elevator it in.
Sure. You can also send the shuttle back and put 4 Zealots in later when your push comes, or DTs again or something. But a lot of times the idea is if you're on 2 forges and you're powering up for this big push, you want to have like a drop with it too, so that you can hit somewhere and maybe you can destabilize a Zerg when you're doing that. So he's going to see this 4th base, and again, we don't really ever see 4th bases taken that early, but Zerg is powered up pretty nicely. Again, though, kind of like I was saying before, the actual game had picked up 7 hatches, by the way. Before the actual game had the cannon rush had picked up, I was saying Bisu, it's kind of like Light or JYJ in a TVZ, where like once the push happens, the Zerg almost always dies. So that's what we really got to wait for, is when Bisu's out on the map, how is Larva going to handle it? Because if that push gets across the map, you're probably dead.
Well, quite a few High Templars are out. Those forges almost going to be done that +1, I think. Already has the +1 armor from the initial forge he had in the main. Looks like the third base going to be taken here from Bisu, but also going to be pushing.
So he's going to come up here. He'll end up clearing some of the lings at the top. The shuttle's still in the game. It hasn't picked anything up yet. And by the way, that Nexus hasn't started, so he is going to pick up some Zealots with that. And we're about to see these two armies collide down here.
Yeah, I think you obviously have to run as Zerg here. It's just way too much Protoss at the moment. He's trying to do some fancy micro there, but I feel like he just needs to go back and meet up. A couple Zealots do get elevated into that main base, and they're going to just be annoying there. They can easily kill the Hydras and go after some drones.
By the way, Bisu's not taking a third Nexus. He put a probe there and a pylon, but he is not taking a base. So this is going to be a two-base attack that's going to hit really hard. And I don't know how prepared Larva is going to be for that. He's got a lot of Hydras, but there are a lot of Storms still in the pockets of Bisu.
Man, this is looking real bad for Larva. He does have a good surface area, like he's coming in from a lot of angles, but Bisu has stuff going on all over the place. Zealots in that third base, Storms absolutely everywhere, and more Zealots just rallying in to help him try to finish Larva off.
Yeah, the Zealots are going to come in here. Always a master at fractioning his army apart and knowing where the weakness is. The Zealots are just chipping away at these Hydras. The Dragoons and the Archons are slowly pushing in behind it. There's another wave of Zealots that's going to be sent across over here, either to intercept the reinforcements or to run into the natural. And they're going to hit right as these Lurkers are morphing, and that's going to be it. GG. Bisu wins 4-1, really proving he is the god of this matchup. And if he can push you and you can't stop it, there's nothing you're going to be able to do.
I'm sorry, Bisu has lost like one game this season so far, I think, and he's in top 4. It's something like that. Because he smashed and got out of his last group in the round of 16, first place. He just 4-1 to Larva. Like, Bisu's killing it this season. We've been talking about a lot of other players. Like, I know I've been going on and on about Soma and Snow, and they are in the top 4, but Bisu is really, really delivering right now. And if you look at this top 4, this is not an unwinnable season for him. This is doable. We don't have, like, if you put Light against him next round, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think so, right? But, like, he has Soma, so it's his best matchup. And then, like, Barracks isn't invincible. Snow PvP isn't invincible. I'm loving the way this season is turning out.
I mean, it would be crazy if Bisu won this ASL. It might be one of the best things that has happened in StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
This guy is from that era, that super nostalgic period, the 2008. Everybody thinks 2008. They say, "Oh, financial crisis." I go, "No, StarCraft Brood War."
Yes.
But this could be his season. I was a little bit in the same camp as you are, Tastosis. I kind of didn't talk about it too much because we've had Bisu get to round of 8 many times and die out. But like, he's in the round of 4. He just took down Larva. I think Soma is beatable. I think Soma is a little bit more of a threat early on.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a very intriguing PvZ to see here, because as good as Soma is, I also think he would struggle against Bisu's both harass and just pushes. I mean, this guy pushes and makes it look so easy. He's such a master at just separating the armies, keeping the Dragoons and Templars and Archons here, but setting the Zealots over there. Getting that double Zealot drop, even not putting 4 Zealots, but just 2. 2 is enough to be annoying to distract the Zerg. Beautifully done. Definitely the better player won today. I love the Larva's Island gameplay, but Bisu is going to be our winner. And we're going to go to an interview now with him and see how he's feeling.
ASL Season 20
And that does it for the last round of 8 match of ASL Season 20, as this guy makes his first round of 4 appearance since Season 13, a whole 7 seasons ago. Let's talk to Bisu. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. This is your first time making the semifinals in 7 seasons after Season 13. How do you feel? I did not think I would advance. For real? Yes, this time around, I changed my settings. I did not expect to do this well. It all started with the round of 24 and then the round of 16. The round of 8, honestly, Larva plays the game so well. I thought that today would not be easy. And losing the first set, I thought, today will be tough. But from the second game onwards, the things I had prepared worked well, and afterwards everything fell into place. With tremendous force behind you, you keep moving up and up. Just like you said in the pre-game interview, the first set on Roaring Currents would be pivotal, and while you suffered a regrettable loss there, afterwards, starting with Polestar, you found a string of victories. How did you aim to play the games after that loss? The first game was the one I prepared for the most. I got shaken mentally the moment I lost it. I should not have lost like that. If I held on to the center expansion, it would have at least been a draw. I was left with a feeling of regret, but I was confident from the second game onward. I usually play a lot of gate first, but this time around I prepared to macro with a forge opening. I can't really go into details too much because I will be playing against Soma. It's a trade secret. But what I prepared worked well. Naturally, you can't reveal your secrets with another match coming up. So you won set 2, set 3, set 4. In that fourth set on Metropolis, truly a masterpiece of a game came out. Very dramatic indeed, as nobody could tell who would end up winning right until the end. Could you talk about that base race? On Metropolis, when I first went for his third, if I had sent my zealots both right and left in two directions, the game would have ended. But I just A-moved them and they all decided to go right. When the attack got stopped, I thought I had lost. But afterwards, I realized that maybe an opening will create itself. I did not think he would drop out or that he would go for a backstab, but somehow, someway, I was the lucky one and I won. Luck was on your side, you say. I think you made good use of those opportunities. And the fact is, you were at a disadvantage in the last set, but with a massive army gathered for a timing attack, it all went topsy-turvy. How did you want to play this one out? I think I'm the best cannon rusher, but with how effortlessly it was held, I was very angry with myself right from the get-go. But with all those lings, I thought a timing would present itself. I made a lot of mistakes. I should have built the cannon right under the forge, but I slipped and made the pylon one square to the right. And if that hadn't been the case, I would have also protected my forge better. All those things one by one were regrettable. But I assessed the situation and realized he made a ton of drones. So I thought, hey, let's not go for +2 upgrades. This can end with me on just 1-1. And it did. I think that's how I won. A turnaround in the end as you win the series 4-1. Yesterday we saw Soma advancing to the round of 4 first, and in the interview he did say he would like to face off against you. What do you think this game against Soma will be like? After finishing my military service, I lost in the round of 8 once, and it was against Soma. I see this as an opportunity to get my revenge. This is also his first tournament since coming back from the army. I'll knock him out and get that revenge. It will be so exciting to see the round of 4 unfold. I'm sure you had many colleagues help you prepare for today, and likewise many fans cheering for you. Please address them. I would never prepare as much, but for some reason I had a feeling that things would go well this season. So I have been playing a lot since the round of 24. And this time too, I reached out to all of the Zergs, asking them to help me practice. So BTS, Sulky, Jadon, Queen, Hero, Effort. I practiced with all the Zergs. I have another one coming up in the semi-finals, so it would be nice if you helped me once more. And Terra cheering for me on his stream, and Hyuk for his message on Kakao Talk, and Tyson and Grimchi, and our C9 members. They came down here to support me, and anytime they were here, I would end up losing. But I'm glad this jinx is now over with this round of 8. I will buy you dinner. See you later. And now my fans, they kept telling me to fix my settings, which I finally did. Things are going well now, aren't they? Yes, I play well too. It's surprising in a way. I'm happy with this. In any case, for real, my goal is to get to the finals. I will prepare diligently, and try to get there. Please keep
네,
cheering
많이
for me.
응원하도록 하겠습니다.
We
이렇게
shall
해서
cheer for
4강의
you.
마지막
And there you have
티켓의
Bisu,
주인공은
our last
김태경
player with a ticket to the round of four.
김태경 선수와 이렇게 인터뷰를 나눠봤는데요.
We have
오늘
just
또
had our interview, and I think that we have a gift somewhere,
있다고 하는데
is what I've been told.
김태경 선수가 준비를 하셨다고 합니다.
Oh, apparently Bisu
어떤
has a
선물을
gift for us.
준비했는지
I
바로
wonder what it
만나보시죠.
is. Let's have a look.
하나, 둘,
One,
셋,
two,
보여주세요.
three. Let's see it.
바로
It is
너무 뜸을 들이시는데요.
Oh, you tease.
오직 ASL
There it
팬분의
is.
플레이를
It's
더
just
특별하게
for
만드는
you,
즐거운
ASL
혜택,
fans.
구글 플레이 포인트를
Bisu is
김태경
holding a
선수가 이렇게
code
들고
for
있습니다.
Google Play
여러분,
points. Guys,
빠르게
hurry,
입력을 해주시고
hurry up,
선물을
redeem the
받아가시면
code,
좋을 것
and get your
같습니다.
present.
오늘도 이렇게 4강 진출과
That's
함께
right.
팬분들에게
We have our
선물을
winner today
드리고
advancing to
있는데요.
the round of four, presenting you with a gift from
입력이 다
us.
됐을까요? 선착순위
Did you get the
모두
code?
뜨셨을까요?
It's first come, first serve.
아마 많은 분들이 받고 계실 것
I'm sure
같습니다.
many people are
김태경
redeeming it
선수,
right now.
4강 진출 다시
Bisu,
한번
once more
축하드립니다.
congratulations on making the semi-finals.
4강 진출 마지막 티켓을
And
거머쥔
that does
김태경
it for our
선수와
interview
인터뷰
with Bisu, who
나눠봤습니다.
claims the last ticket to the round of four.
What a day. I mean, look, I wish we had some more games, but you cannot be more excited to have Bisu going up against Soma next year. He looks so good.
Yeah.
The only game that he lost was the weird map, right? His pushes were just phenomenal. He was able to hold the tech so well. He knew when to kind of branch off and hit different areas. Bisu's back, man. He's looking better than ever. It's exciting because, you know, he's always been around in StarCraft 1. He's always been, he never left, never went to StarCraft 2, never really retired. But at the same time, he didn't rise up to the likes of Flash. You know, we had Sulky dominating for a long time. We went through a series of, you know, some pretty new faces, some somewhat new faces. But Bisu kind of got close to the front, and then other times was in the background. But here he is in the round of 4 in Season 20.
Looking as good as ever. A real chance for a legend to win an ASL this season. I think it is some tough competition. But anything can really happen with this round of 4. The round of 4 is just nutsos. Like, the fact that we're going to have Barracks Snow, where Barracks, every build he uses is something Flash gave him. Like, if there's one Terran that can plan how to win this ASL, it's Flash. Then you got Snow, who has just been the strongest Protoss in the world now for years. Soma back from the military in god-tier shape. And, of course, Bisu, the old legend. Like, it's such an insanely good round of 4, which, by the way, 2 weeks. 2 weeks till we start that, guys.
Yes.
Just about. It's yeah.
It's gonna be Chuseok over here. I'll be seeing my wife's family. This is one of the big holidays over here in Korea, so everyone's gonna have a little bit of time off. So try to save your crazy person tweets for at least 2 weeks when you go, where is ASL? Because it's not gonna be on for a little bit.
Yeah.
But when we come back, we're gonna have that round of 4 out. It's gonna start off with Barracks versus Snow, which is gonna be so good. I think Snow takes it. I think everybody in the world, including Barracks' parents, thinks Snow probably takes it.
Yeah.
But hey, who knows? Barracks has really been on the up and up, and maybe he shows some surprises here.
Well, I know that Flash is working on new builds for Barracks because I've seen him playing a ton of ladder lately and trying out really weird stuff. So we'll see what he comes up with, what he can cook up, and see if he can live vicariously through the last Terran player. Then, of course, Soma versus Bisu. I think that this is going to be one of the best matches of the tournament. Soma is fantastic. Yeah. It looked kind of weird yesterday against Best, but Bisu's in top form. Soma's hungry to win a championship finally now that he's out of the military.
And let's not forget, Bisu vs. Soma was one of the craziest PVZs of all time. We've had this before. They made some insane games in the past. I can't remember what season, but I'm sure you guys remember the final game where it was like, you know, it was down to the very last second. It wasn't clear who was going to win, who was going to lose. Tastosis and me were losing our minds, and we're going to get to have that one more time here in this round of 4. Very cool.
Can't wait for it, man. It's going to be amazing. So, guys, thank you for watching, and let us know what you think is the more exciting of the 2 matches. I think most people will say Soma Bisu, but I'm not sleeping on Barracks, man. I'm not doing it. I will not just pass that up as an easy 4-0 for Snow, even though Snow is better than Barracks without question. I think crazy things can still occur there.
Artie's got the pom-poms out, ready to go. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please be sure and sign up for the Patreon if you haven't already. Patreon.com/ASL English. Tastosis, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just excited for the next round. Remember, guys, it's going to be a couple weeks out. So without further ado, goodbye, good night. Hope that you enjoy. Have a nice week off, and we will see you after that.